Somewhere in Japan, a class reunion is taking place.
皆さんおはようございます。
おはようございます。
今日から修学旅行が始まります。今日はグループでの自由行動があります。京都の歴史に触れて有意義な修学旅行にしてください。
はーい。
Young people are suggested to join a study trip and visit the historical culture of an old city.
教頭先生がおっしゃったように、京都には寺社仏閣といった歴史的に重要な建造物がたくさんあります。修学旅行を通じて皆さんたくさんの文化に触れてみましょうね。皆さんいろんなことを経験して感じて素敵な思い出を作る。
This is a meaningful trip to help them gain more knowledge about history, so everyone is excited. As evening fell, the friends gathered quietly in one of the larger rooms. One by one, they shared, who inspired you most in life? Some spoke of parents who worked tirelessly without asking for recognition. Others mentioned a childhood friend who had always stood by them. A few hesitated and spoke of teachers, those who believed in them before they believed in themselves. As they spoke, a warmth spread through the room. It wasn't just admiration, it was gratitude, reflection, a sense that their lives had been touched, shaped, uplifted often in small, unnoticed ways.
何恥ずかしがってんの。
Outside the room, Ms. Kazama approached quietly. She had heard the soft voices through the shoshi screen. She didn't interrupt. Instead, she waited patiently before gently reminding them.
ほら、もう消灯時間過ぎてるわよ。早く寝なさい。
They nodded, smiling, comforted by her calm presence.
ちゃんと寝るのよ。
Not only does she care for them, she also thoughtfully helps them clean up the messy items on the floor.
ずいぶん散らかってるじゃない。
What they didn't know was that after saying goodnight, Ms. Kazama didn't immediately head to her room. She took a quiet walk around the inn, checking in just to make sure everyone was settled. The hallway was dim, the air cool. In each room, the students, now adults, slowly fell asleep, one after another. The quiet murmur of conversation faded. Peace returned. Then, just as quietly, she sat with the other supervising teacher for a while.
どうぞ。教頭先生。
見回りの方終わりましたか？
あ、はい、さっき終わりました。
修学旅行も1日目、せっかく無事終わったんで。
They talked not about logistics, but about intentions. How to make this trip not just smooth, but meaningful. How to turn each location visited into an opportunity for discovery. How to give these young people a space to breathe, to reflect, to feel something real. It was subtle, unspoken even, but behind every decision was care, a quiet kind of leadership.
なんていうか、装飾画っていうんですか？
コウスケ、起きてた。でも。
The classmates felt excited about this trip. The joy of discovering new things made them continue their conversations and gradually fell asleep. And later, as she made her last round through the hallway, just to be sure, she paused by the window. The moon hung low over the rooftops of Kyoto. She whispered, almost to herself, "They are asleep, even if they don't realize it." And indeed, they were asleep.
あ、先生、おはようございます。
おはよう。
早いですね。
あ、そう。みんなは。
みんなももうすぐ来ると思いますけど。
Morning in Kyoto came gently. Sunlight crept through the paper windows, casting soft golden lines across the floor. The sounds of birds outside blended with the faint clinking of dishes from the kitchen. Before anyone even rose from their futons, a warm aroma filled the air. Miso soup, steamed rice, grilled fish, and pickled vegetables, all prepared thoughtfully by Ms. Kazama. She believed that a good day of learning begins with care, and care, for her, started with a nourishing meal. One by one, the group gathered around the low table. There was a calm stillness in the air, not tired, but grounded. They shared breakfast not just as classmates, but as people quietly growing through shared experience. There were no grand speeches, just simple exchanges, smiles, nods, a few thoughtful glances between bites. What was remarkable about this trip wasn't some dramatic transformation. It was the slow, steady shift in awareness. The way someone paused longer than usual in front of an ancient scroll. The way another carried a notebook in their pocket and started jotting down thoughts. The quiet moments between destinations when someone would whisper, "I never knew that," or "I wish I had paid more attention in school." They weren't just seeing Kyoto, they were feeling it. It was there that one of them, quiet and observant, turned to Ms. Kazama. He had always admired her, not just because she was his teacher, but because of her consistency, her gentle strength, her way of showing up, even when no one was watching. Ms. Kazama smiled, her eyes reflecting both humility and pride. She didn't say much. She didn't need to. Instead, she simply responded. Sometimes it takes time for us to see the value in things. I'm glad you did. In that moment, the young man felt something shift inside him. It wasn't loud or obvious, but it was lasting. A kind of clarity, a quiet realization that learning is a lifelong journey. The sun was setting by the time they returned to the inn. Kyoto, in the golden hour, seemed to glow from within. Lanterns slowly flickered to life along the streets. The group walked quietly, some snapping last photos, others simply holding on to the stillness that had settled around them. No one rushed. They didn't need to. Something inside had already changed. Back at the inn, the atmosphere felt different from the first night. Quieter, but fuller. Like each person had taken in something they couldn't quite put into words yet, but it showed in the way they looked at each other. The trip hadn't just been about history. It had been about presence, attention, gratitude. After a light dinner, as the group slowly prepared to rest, the young man who had spoken with Ms. Kazama earlier returned to find her. This time, he held something in his hands, a small envelope and a few printed photographs he had taken during the journey. They were simple shots: the curved rooftop of a temple, the hands of a classmate sketching a stone statue, the morning sunlight falling on their breakfast table. He handed them to her gently, almost shyly. "These are for you," he said. "Just small things I want to remember. And I thought maybe you'd like to remember them too." She accepted them with quiet appreciation, her expression soft. He hesitated, then added, "Thank you, not just for organizing this trip, but for showing me that learning never really ends, that there's value in slowing down, in noticing." Ms. Kazama looked at him not as a teacher to a student, but simply as one human to another. "You noticed," she said, with a smile. "That's all I ever hoped for." In that small exchange, there was no need for big words, no ceremony, but the impact was lasting. Because sometimes, the most powerful lessons are the ones wrapped in ordinary moments. That night, the group fell asleep earlier than usual. They were tired not from travel, but from absorbing so much life in such a short time. Six years later, when they returned to their daily routines, the memories didn't fade. They lingered. In the way, someone slowed down to listen more carefully.
6年前か
In the way, another wrote more often. In the way, one young man began looking at life through the lens of quiet appreciation,
いいから
remembering
ちょ
that
っとして
even small thank yous could carry a lifetime of meaning. Because in the end,
ほら
the trip wasn't just a reunion or even a history lesson. It was a reminder that learning doesn't end in a classroom, that kindness leaves a mark, and that sometimes the most important moments are the ones we almost overlook until someone helps us see them. And those are the stories we carry with us, long after the journey ends. Short film starring actress Yumi Kazama, released in 2019 and highly appreciated. A film that inspires learning, growth, and human connection.